Hey guys, welcome back to Sophisticakes by Mary. For this tutorial, I'm going to show you how I made this flush sugar sheet fault line cake. And I added a little bit of color texture on the top of this, and I also added some edible silver leaf. But before we get to it, I want to tell you a little bit about this tutorial's sponsor. So this tutorial is sponsored by Barnabas Gold. Not only does Barnabas make high quality, edible, and genuine and imitation gold leaf, they also make silver leaf. Barnabas is my metallic leaf of choice, and I highly recommend for all of your needs for a little bit of pop to your cakes or your desserts, anything that you might be making. So if you would like to get your own, check out the link in the video description. So now let's get back to the tutorial. So we're going to start this cake by assembling our layers. I used 6-inch pans that are 2 inches high, and I made 4 layers of cake. I had already simple syrup these, but I did not show you that. I typically simple syrup all of my layers, which is just a mixture 50-50 of water and sugar, granulated sugar, heated to boiling and then allowed to cool. And that just keeps your cakes moist while you are working on them. And I'm just filling these with my standard American buttercream that I will link in an iCard and in the description of this video. And I am not damming it this time because my buttercream this time, it was a little cooler outside and it is a little firmer than I need to actually even bother with damming it. But if you do need to dam it, if you're using a filling that is soft, any kind of a soft filling, all you do is mix some powdered sugar, more powdered sugar into your buttercream. Now I'm gonna make my sugar sheet. What I'm using is just some silver sugar crystals. And I am mixing them with a little bit of clear corn syrup that I heated in the microwave. Now I will put the recipe in the video description as well. It's a little easier just to have you refer over to that than me trying to explain it to you every little detail. I mean, this is very simple to make, but again, it's just easier. My videos go pretty quick. Don't have time to say everything. So once you've heated up that corn syrup, just go ahead and mix it with your sugar crystals. Now you can use any kind of sugar crystals you want. You don't have to do silver. You don't have to do gold. You can do plain white. You can do colored ones. I have done that in other videos too. I will try to remember to put a link to other videos so that you can see how I do it in other ways. And you just mix that up. And I added a little bit of silver luster dust to bump up the shine factor a little bit. And I just set that to the side while I got my little piece of parchment paper ready. I had cut this to the width of the circumference of the cake so that I know that it'll wrap all the way around, and then I add another inch or two to that. And put your sugar sheet crystals in between. I like to just fold it in half and roll it out. Now I wanted it to go maybe a half of the way up the side of the cake, and I knew I wanted it irregularly shaped on the top. So I just rolled it out to the thickness that I wanted it and just made sure that I got it. Basically, the key is to make sure that you get it the width you want it. If you want it to cover your whole cake, I'm sorry, you're gonna probably wanna do 2 recipes. This is just 1 recipe. And then I just set that to the side and let it firm up a little bit. Honestly, for a good hour would be a good time frame to go with. Otherwise, it kind of falls apart. When you can lift up a corner of it, like a side of it, a piece of it, and it holds together without wanting to fall apart, then it's probably ready to attach to your cake. But in the meantime, I'm just going ahead and doing my layer of buttercream on the cake. I wanted to go with this blue color because I thought it would be pretty with the silver. I love blue and silver together. My favorite Christmas colors, actually, blue and silver. But this is not a Christmas cake. I'm not ready for that yet. So just go ahead and bring the top lip into the middle. Don't worry so much about the very bottom if it's not completely covered, because this is basically your crumb coat. And once you've got that where you want it, go ahead and put it in your freezer to firm up for a little bit. And now this is a little bit of a speed up time lapse here. This is about 2 hours late. No, I'm sorry, about an hour later, like I said. And I put a little shortening on the opposite side, just so that when you are transferring your sheet onto your cake, it's not going to slip off of that because it's very slickery. I've had that happen before. The shortening is just to hold it in place. And then I added a thin layer of buttercream onto the chilled cake, just so to make sure that the sugar sheet attaches more easily. You don't really have to do that. I just like to I've learned that it kind of saves me the trouble. Then I cut that bottom piece off of the parchment paper. It would just get in your way. So just cut it flush with the bottom of your transfer and just lift it up and wrap it around. It's really that easy. And just make sure that it is adhered to all sides of the cake. Now you'll notice there are some holes. I did that on purpose, but I kind of wish I hadn't. So I didn't even explain that, just ignore that. I'll show you how I fix what happens. But anyway, I cut off the excess on the back to make sure that those two pieces are butting up together. Then I just added a few random little pieces on the top. I had an idea in mind, and I'll be honest, like I always am, it didn't actually turn out exactly like I was thinking, but it still turned out cool. What I was going for by adding this white around the very bottom was kind of the effect of like layers in a rock. You know how you have like the different colors kind of varied in there? I just wanted it to be a little bit more abstract, and then I used that brush to kind of pat it down. Instead of using a scraper, I just wanted to like thin it out and kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Fade it in a little bit, thin it down. I didn't want to see a whole lot of that, just maybe a little pops of it here and there, and that is what happened, but not exactly like I had in my head, just like normal. And then I filled in those holes on the bottom with the blue. What I wasn't taking into consideration is the texture of the sugar sheet. I wanted this whole thing to be flush. And I just wanted the sugar sheet to kind of peek out underneath that buttercream at the very top edge. And I thought maybe I could fill in those holes with the buttercream so that's flush also and have a little bit different of effect with textures. Didn't work. So I will show you how I fix it. But I did go ahead and just kind of smooth that flush on the top. And that little white pieces, they came through, and I thought that was fine. So I just used a little bit more of the luster dust, the silver luster dust, in a fluffier brush. And I just went over all those little blue spots and just used the luster dust to blend it in. I didn't like it, so erase, poof, be gone. And just kind of touched up over the whole surface just to try to make it as even as I could, but I wasn't too concerned about having differentiating textures between the sugar sheet and the buttercream because this is an abstract look. It's fine. And now I am mixing, that was a peacock blue luster dust and a white, pearly white luster, or silvery pearl luster dust. Sorry, words are hard. With a little bit of Everclear. And I'm just sponging it on, just to give it a little sheen and a little bit different of a look on the top. I didn't want to have a flat blue. And the sponge makes it more irregular. And then I thought I would just touch up that top uneven edge and the edge of the sugar sheet with the silver luster dust and Everclear that I already had, but it wasn't enough of a pop. And I wanted to use the Barnabas silver anyway. So I just went in with that, just covered up. I was going to use that in spots, kind of just to do that irregular placement of the silver, but instead I decided to go ahead and just use it because it's so much more shiny, and I should have just done this to begin with. I was just trying to use what I had right in front of me, even though I knew I was going to use this. Anyway, just use this on your fault line. And since it's still damp from doing the sponge color technique, it just stuck right to it. And I did it on the top edge as well. Now we're just going to finish it off by adding our flowers. These are just some silk flowers that I have. I have so many silk flowers, guys. I'm not wasting money on fresh flowers as a general rule for my videos because these aren't going to anybody. I can reuse these, just reuse them in separate ways. But anyway, so I put a dollop of buttercream on the top edge, and I'm just sticking the flowers into that buttercream. And then I always like to add a little offset floral arrangement on the bottom, catty corner. I think that really ties cakes together. You don't have to do that. You can just leave it with the one on top. You could even leave and just do with the ones on the bottom. That's fine too. And then we had some of these leaves at the bakery. All these they're just regular, these are fresh leaves, just sprayed with some paint, some edible paint using just gold luster dust and Everclear. We had them extra. They went with the whole silver theme, so I thought I'd go ahead and use it. We like to use what we have. So there you go, guys. I thought this one was really fun to do. This is a little different than I typically do. I used old techniques and tied them together in a whole different design. And I hope you liked it, and you could do this whatever colors you want, whatever flowers you want. And if you decide to do this, please tag me on Instagram. I'd love to see what you do. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch my video. And if you'd like to watch some other videos, go ahead and click on the link to one of these other videos shown here. And if you would like to check out my other social media, I am on Facebook and Instagram under the same name, Sophisticakes by Mary. And please take the time to share, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you know when I upload another video. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the next tutorial.